So this is a floor and a grill, and there's a couple miscellaneous winch pieces here out of our 56 wagon. And we can't throw any of this away yet, because I know if you look here, you'll see these reinforcement brackets. Well, we have that under our new floor. I think we have that bracket, but I don't know if we have the rubber for the pinion snubber. Now, another thing we don't have on our floor, these towers right here, they come on the wagons only. Now, this one's a little rusty down here, but we're going to have to cut those off and repair this one. The other one's fine. Those have to be welded into the car because the seats fold down and sit here and here on those pillars. And another thing we need off the floor, we have that framing underneath, but we don't have these brackets. And I don't know if we're going to need that later or whatever, but we're going to take it off and keep it with the car because that's part of the parking brake system. Now, he's going to do a 4-disc on this car, so that may cancel itself out, but at least he'll have the parts if he needs them. E-brake is here, and I have a feeling actually if you give it a tug, it seems like it would work. So basically, this is the frame, and there's the car. So there was really no surprises with this car. It's a Southern car. 3-4 years ago, probably about 3 years ago, a little more than 3 years ago. This came up from Arkansas. A friend of mine imported it from Arkansas with a bunch of other cars. And he sold the body, and the guy he sold the body to got a hold of me. And luckily I knew the car. And the downside is obviously rockers are bad. The upside is the wheel arches and quarters are mostly good. Now, we're likely going to replace this lower section of the quarter, and we're going to do that on both sides. We're going to leave the rest of the wheel arch alone in the back. This side is nice. The other side's got some ripples. We'll fix that up. But the quarters themselves are fairly straight. Now, there is some filler here. We'll have to dig that all out. Someone probably put a groove in this. You know, got to rub it sometime in its life. Now, the structure all back here on this car is really good. All our frame brackets there, that stuff all sits on the frame, holds the body down, and that's all really good. So we're going to be able to save that, which is basically this right here. So then we're going to have to take this metal here. You see the split. From here forward, we're going to take all that out. Now, we're not going to do that right away. We're going to leave it in for structure for now. But at some point, we can keep the back brace, and then all that, we're going to get rid of the spare tire. We're going to go fatter tires on this. So that's going to be deleted, and we're just going to do a custom floor and frame back here, and it's going to be clean and flat. You know, we might do a design with a bit of a bead roll to it. So, solid car. We welded braces in because the rockers are a little bit not the best. But this thing is rigid. When we picked it up, nothing tweaked or twisted or moved. It just came straight off. Like the body's really, really hard, really, really solid. We do got to fix right down here a little bit. The other side is good. And then we're going to cut about 4 inches off the toe board. The tranny tunnel's okay. That side the same thing. We're just going to replace that because you see that pitting. We're going to come up to the line here and get rid of that. We'll sandblast above it and whatnot. We'll clean that up. But we want to make sure that, you know, if you're going to do a full floor like this all the way up and then a custom floor back there, it doesn't leave a whole lot of rot on the bottom of the car. So instead of just kind of, you know, we could get away with a little patch in here and a little patch in the corner. We're just going to cut it right underneath this line, that B-roll, and basically remake that whole piece. So when we weld that in, we'll weld our corners in down here. There's reinforcement plates in these cars right here. That's part of this pillar. That's what the floor welds to. And I mean, the back of the floor has the inner rockers made to it. So that's all going to weld to the new rocker when we put the new rocker in. You can see there's like a J down at the bottom of the inner structure. If you look at this side, it's pretty much gone. So we're going to come up about 2-3 inches. We're going to remake the J's, weld them in. Essentially, the whole bottom 6 inches of this car and all the bottom that you can see on a hoist is going to be brand spanking new. So if you get a car that's in better shape, you can put a few patches in and get it going, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the nice thing about getting a good body that's solid like this and replacing the whole bottom in it, and watch with the oddball cars, because you can't always get everything. But with this car, we were able to get the full floor. And the full floor has all the bracing and brackets, all the cross members, and it's already welded to the floor, and the inner rockers are welded to the floor. Now on this car, the inner rockers actually sit on an angle like this. The cool thing is it'll come right up into place. Once we match the 4 corners, we can line everything up to suit. I've seen a few videos where people jack these up canny-wampus and slide the floor under and try to get it up under and screw it and weld it, and that's probably okay. But I think what I'm going to try is we're going to drop our floor right on top of the frame, line it up, and bolt it, and then we'll set the car right back down on, and I think it's all going to just line right up, and then we can put a few screws in it. We'll already have our holes in it, and then we'll be able to weld it together. Now we can always pull those bolts back out, because we're just going to put them in snug. We're not going to over tighten them. I might get a bunch of cheap just a bunch of cheap nuts to do that. And the reason why is the nuts we use on the body mounts are tapered nuts. So it'll be easier if we use regular nuts, because we're going to take it back off. Once we get everything lined up and, burnt in to where it's going to be, we can lift the body back up. We can go right under the car at that point, weld everything in solid, or drop the car down and go inside, whatever we got to do. So I'm pretty happy with it. Now here's our frame, and as I said before, someone had restored the frame, threw the body back on and started doing body work, and the frame was really clean. So the sides, as you can see, are still all painted black, and most of it's good. The tops, actually this is what this looked like. Most of it'll wash off. There's a little bit of surface rust right there, and a little bit there and there. The rest of it, honestly, I think we're going to just take a sander to it, spin off the edges with a grinder, and I think the frame's going to clean up super nice. I'm not even worried about it. It's rock hard. It's never been banged up or repaired, so we're pretty pleased with it, actually. This is going to be a really, really decent car when it's done. Well, we're not going with like a concourse restoration with this. We're going to go with, a mostly original, but then we're probably going to do like disc brakes, a few good things like that. I don't know what the client wants to do with the suspension yet. I don't think he has to do anything. Somebody's rebuilt it all, but he'll likely tear it all down and do it. So the client is very mechanically inclined, so he's going to do all that stuff. We're just going to do everything he can't do. And the big part of this project is, what a great car, too bad it has no floor. We're also going to have to rebuild the trunk, well, I guess the tailgate in this case. The outer skin is pretty good, but we know that this will all be pitted from the inside. So you got to replace at least the bottom. That's got to be fixed, welded shut. There's a few dings. But on the inside, you can see how that's rotted out. So this whole panel, we'll probably just cut this off, remake it, remake the bottom. You can see this is bad. This needs a lot of work. Now, maybe we can find one, or maybe there's an aftermarket. But at any rate, we'll have to figure out how to get these off. Whether we drill them out or weld nuts on top. Yeah, those aren't coming out, and the ones under here are no better. So, see how the heads look there. Might have to just drill right through and then retap them. But at any rate, we'll deal with that later. The main thing on this car is getting the floor in and then building the custom floor in the back. So we got good brackets underneath the car, and the rear frame rail is good, like that holds the body together. So that'll stay. We'll sandblast, clean it up, and paint it. The rest will be brand new. It's going to be great. I kind of like the car. A lot of happy surprises with this, considering, you know, what the car looked like when I brought it in. I mean, I'm in Ontario, Canada. This is not what Canadian frames look like at all. This is, I can see why there's a lot of really cool hot rod shows and some of the cars you guys are building down south. Yeah, even something bad down there, as I'm learning, is pretty good. Now, maybe down there you wouldn't even fix this body because the floor's too bad or whatever, but if you saw what we're dealing with up here. Anyway, so that's where we're at. Another little bonus. We found a bunch of mystery bags in the dirt of the car when we cleaned it out, buried under the seat. And we found this box. And other than the 6 brand new body mounts, like you can see, they're still soft and rubbery. 6 of them were used, and the rest of them were in the box. All new hardware and everything. We have the whole kit to put the body back on the frame, so that'll save us a couple $100. So that'll be nice. But yeah. Anyway, that's where we are. That's what we're doing. And thanks for joining me. Cheers.